These are 17 Roblox Bedwars tricks your enemies fear. Now for the first trick, we have baiting your enemies with no armor and then putting armor back on. Now to do this trick effectively, you're gonna have to have some type of armor, and in this case I have iron armor. And say an enemy is chasing you, you can just quickly put all of your armor back on and then start attacking them. Your enemies are gonna chase you thinking that you're actually really weak, when in reality you're really strong. So you can just put the armor back on and start fighting them, and you'll end up winning the fight, which is going to be really handy for gathering up tons of resources to buy even better armor to make this trick even more effective. And here's an example of me doing this trick in game. As you can see, I'm running away from my enemy at the moment and I don't have any armor on, and this guy is chasing me thinking that I'm actually really weak. And then I put my armor back on and then start fighting him, and as you can see, I won that fight with ease. And that guy is probably raging in his seat right now because he just got destroyed thinking I had no resources. Now for this next trick, we have shooting with your crossbow and then going into sword combat. Now this works with any sort of projectile, whether that be with a bow, the new headhunter, or the crossbow. And basically what you want to do if you're about to go into a PvP fight, you want to shoot with your crossbow first and then start attacking your enemy with a sword. That way you can get the first hit off and you can guarantee that your enemy is always going to be weaker than you, pretty much guaranteeing you the win for that fight. You can also do this trick multiple times by backing away from your enemy and shooting them a few more times with your crossbow, making them even weaker and making the chances of you winning that fight significantly higher. For the next trick, we have keep fighting even when you're weak. Now if you're fighting an enemy and you start to get really low, the worst thing you can actually do is start running away. If you keep engaging with your enemy and keep fighting him and putting pressure on him, he's gonna start to get a lot lower than you are, and he's gonna think that you're still on really high HP, so then he's gonna run away from you and stop fighting you. Now this doesn't work with everyone because really pro players will actually count how many times they've hit you and get a rough estimate of how low you are. So this only really works on some players. However, I can almost guarantee this trick will work on some of your friends because I highly doubt they sit there and count every one of their hits. And here's an example of me doing this in game. Now, as you can see, me and my opponent pretty much have the same gear. And I start to get really low in this fight. But instead of backing away, I keep fighting and applying pressure on him and he starts to run away. And that's when I know that he's really low. Now I'm chasing him and I easily got that kill, even though I was still really low on HP. I bet you that guy didn't even know I had such low health. He could have easily killed me, but instead he decided to run away. So definitely use this trick to your advantage if you want to get some really cheap kills. Now for this next trick, we have void baiting with telepearls. Now this trick is really useful if you're trying to escape your opponent or just throw them off guard. Basically, you want to get a ton of telepearls, and when you engage in a fight, basically you want to jump in the void and then pre-aim your telepearl to the spot that you want to land. Your enemy is just going to think that you jumped off the map to escape the fight, but you can just teleport right back up to him and continue fighting him like nothing happened. Your opponent is going to be so confused and had no idea what's going on. And then you can get an extra couple hits on him and win the fight. And here's an example of me doing this in game. Now, as you can see, me and my opponent are fighting and I start to get really low, but I have a ton of telepearls on me, so I have nothing to worry about. But instead of running away, I just jump in the void and I teleport right back up to him and continue fighting him. Even though I'm still really low, I continue to fight my enemy and catch him off guard. And I easily won this fight and I ended up winning that match. Now for this next trick, we have breaking beds through walls. Now this is a really classic trick used by some of the best Bedwars players. Basically, at the start of the game, you want to get a ton of wall. And you want to approach your enemy's base and build a little hut above you so you don't get hit by your enemy. And then while your enemy is trying to figure out what the heck you're doing, you can start breaking their bed through the wall and actually get an easy bed break. And if you use stronger materials like stone and wood, your enemy is going to be super confused and have no idea what to do. For this next trick, we have something that's called bridge baiting. If you have an enemy that's chasing you while you're building a bridge, the best thing you can do is bridge bait him. Basically, while your enemy is chasing you on your bridge, place a few blocks in front of you and start building up, and then build back towards your original bridge. That way your enemy isn't able to build up to you. You can even take this trick a step further and actually trap him inside the box, and then you can either escape or get some easy hits off your enemy. It's a really effective trick if you're trying to outsmart your enemy, and you can even suffocate him doing this trick, which I find very funny. Now for this next trick, we have combining the Pirate Davy kit with the Uzi kit. To do this trick super effectively, get your Pirate Davy friend to place down a cannon for you, and then obviously align the cannon, and then use the Uzi dash to boost you forward and stop any full damage that you would have taken. And then obviously you can break the bed and win the game. For this next trick, we have blocking in your enemy's spawn, and this trick is perfect if you want to make your enemies rage quit. To do this trick, basically you want to win the first fight against your enemy, and then get a really strong material like stone or wood, and then block in your enemies using those blocks. This may take a little bit of practice, but now you have plenty of time to break your enemy's bed, which makes this trick super effective if you want to buy some time for you and your squad and win the game. Now for this next trick, we have blocking yourself into an enemy's base. Now if your enemy has a really strong bed defense and you have no resources to break it, this trick is really effective for breaking into an enemy's base. Basically, to do this trick effectively, your enemy has to have a really big base, and you sort of have to block yourself in kind of like this. Then you can just break the first block forward and squeeze into your enemy's base, and your enemies won't be able to catch you. And this will make your enemies go crazy because they're not going to be able to get you in time for you to break their bed. And for this next trick, we have using blocks to bait your enemies. To do this trick, you basically want to have a bridge already set up, something like this, just a nice straight line. And basically, you want to get a few blocks to basically be one shot. You could even do the entire bridge if you really wanted to, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. And then when your enemy walks over, you can just start breaking all the blocks and they will fall into the void, and it will be super funny. You can even do a similar sort of trick where you have a gap in the blocks, and if an enemy is chasing you, you can just wall it off and your enemy will fall in the void, and they'll lose all of their valuable resources and they'll be super mad. And for this next trick, we have getting a crossbow as soon as possible. As soon as you spawn in the game, you have exactly 2 minutes to get enough emeralds to buy a crossbow. Basically, you want to have 4 diamonds and you want to have 7 emeralds. And to get all of those materials, you need to have control of the middle for the first 2 minutes of the game. So basically, as soon as the game starts, you want to rush to middle as soon as possible. Rush to middle to get these 4 emeralds as soon as possible. You want to have as many blocks as possible. And now you have approximately 15 seconds to get 4 diamonds. So use the rest of your blocks to bridge to the nearest diamond generator, and 4 diamonds should already be spawned in. Now by then, there should be 4 more emeralds in the middle. You only need 3 of them though, just remember that. And after you've got your 3 more emeralds, you can go back to your base, and by the 2-minute mark, you'll have a crossbow. Buy an armory and buy your crossbow and buy a crap load of arrows, and boom, by the 2-minute mark, we have our crossbow. And by then, you'll be super overpowered. You'll be able to kill all of your enemies without any struggle. For this next trick, guys, we're going to be using the lasso kit to throw our enemies in the void. Now, if you guys don't already have this kit, this is a really underrated kit. For just 40 iron, you can buy a lasso and throw your enemies into the void. Now, the good thing about this kit is it takes a lot of skill to use. So if you're really good with bows, I would strongly recommend using this kit. Basically, you want to rush up to your enemies and get up really high. And then you can throw the lasso at your enemies and they'll fall straight into the void. And here's a real game example of me using this trick. As you can see, I have the lasso kit equipped and I'm currently rushing my enemies. Now I'm just going to build over the void and build up a little bit and then capture my enemy and throw him into the void. And because it does a little bit of damage, I got all of his juicy loot. Now for this next trick, we have using the new wizard kit to knock your enemies off of their bridges. Now if you have the new Enzo wizard kit, you can actually use the wizard staff to knock enemies off of their bridges, which is super overpowered. To do this trick, literally all you have to do is run up to an enemy, and while they're walking towards their base on their bridge, just zap them with the new wizard staff and they'll fall straight into the void and you'll get all of their juicy resources. For this next trick, we have using obsidian as a bed defense. Now, this trick may sound a little bit silly, guys, but let me explain. If you don't already know, obsidian is probably one of the most underrated items in the game just because of how cheap it is. For just 4 emeralds, you can make a super solid bed defense. At the start of the game, you can easily get 4 emeralds and you only need around 8 obsidian. And if you rush mid and get obsidian super early, and if your enemies try and rush you, they're going to be sitting there for a really long time trying to break your bed. It takes them so long to break your bed that you could probably have a little nap while they're trying to destroy your bed defense. For the next trick, guys, we have hiding Tesla coils in your base. Now, this is a super original trick as well, and it's used by all of the super pro Bedwars players. Simply just buy 2 Tesla traps and put them near your base, or even put them in your bed defense, your new epic obsidian bed defense, and make sure they're hidden from the public eye. You don't want anyone seeing these Tesla coils. Using this trick combined with the last trick can make your bed defense unstoppable. Now, if your enemies try and break your bed defense, they're gonna have a really tough time. You can even hide these Tesla coils somewhere in your base, so if you have an enemy rushing you, they'll lose just enough health for you to win the PvP fight. For this next trick, guys, we have double bumping in Bedwars. Now, you guys probably don't even know what I'm talking about right now. Like, what is double pumping? You can use the new headhunter item and the crossbow together to create a super powerful double bump shotgun. You can combine these 2 weapons to do over 140 damage, which is absolutely insane. As you can see, I wiped out that diamond guardian with ease. It wasn't even competition.